And we'll do roll call and we'll start to my left.
Marla Canfield, City Council Member.
Tim Brunson, City Council Member.
Jody O'Kady, City Council Member.
Ron Price, Mayor.
Tim Berry, City Council Member.
Colin Gallagher, City Council Member.
Homer, City Council Member.
Buck Buchanan, Police Chief.
Rick Lance, Director of Public Works and Utilities.
Kevin Graham, City Engineer.
Chad Russell, Fire Chief.
Matt Kane, Finance Director.
Julie Boyd, Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Andrew Kovar in for JT Klaus, City Attorney.
Dana Engstrom, City Clerk.
Jolene Graham, Assistant City Administrator.
Jennifer McCausland, City Administrator.
All right. At this time, we'll be led in an invocation by Denny Doherty.
Good job.
Hallelujah.
That's a tough one, and you got it right. Yeah.
It only took 6 years, man.
I know. I know. Man, I consider it a privilege to be asked and be chosen. You know, I was sitting here thinking, which I'm not really very good at, but I'm going to say, you know, I was chosen through relationship, through my relationship with Buck and Chad, and most of you don't know me. So but in thinking that, before I pray for you, I want you guys to realize you were chosen. I don't know if you've thought about that much, but you were all chosen to lead. And with that choice comes responsibility, doesn't it? And so I consider it a privilege to pray for you because you were chosen, right?
Thank you.
And I happen to be a new resident, of Andover in the city, right? And I want to say thank you for everybody who was involved with that too, because we had to be, what's the word I want to say? Annexed in. Yes, thank you. And we love it. So thank you guys very much. All right, let's pray. Dear Lord, we come to you tonight and we say thank you for being chosen. And we also understand that when we're chosen, it comes with quite a responsibility. And I just pray for our leadership here in the city, the ones that were chosen, because they've all been chosen, actually. So thank you for saying yes. And Lord, with that responsibility, I just pray, God, that everything they do and everything they say and how they lead would be honorable before your eyes. So Lord, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for the people involved in the leadership of this great and growing city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. And we're glad to have you in the city limits.
I know you are.
All right, if you would join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. This time I'll open the floor for public forum. If you have anything you'd like to address to the council members, feel free to do so. Keep it under 3 minutes if you would, and have at it. Nobody? How about one of you youngsters? Got anything to complain about? We'll listen. All right. Acceptance of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Darn it. All opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0.
I think it's okay because JT's not here.
It's all about.
That's not what he does.
All right, 7-1, American Public Works Association Kansas Chapter Project of the Year Award Presentation. And Rick is going to talk to us about this.
Actually, we have Brett Letowski, our awards chair for the APW Kansas chapter here. He will be presenting that award tonight.
Mayor, council members, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I'm Brett Lekowski. I am a member of the American Public Works Association Executive Committee. As Rick mentioned, I'm the awards chair, and I'm here to honor the city of Andover with the project of the year, less than $5 million for transportation for Founders Parkway, Onewood to Andover Road. Congratulations.
The camera can't see you, you can't see. Thanks, Tim.
What am I doing? Oh, I am?
Tim's reading. You're presenting.
All right. Proclamation 8-1, proclamation state bowling champion. Councilman Brunson is going to read the proclamation for us.
Yeah, if we could have Addison come up here to my right, your left, and we'll go ahead and read this proclamation and present you with this. Whereas Andover Central High School freshman Addison Crumley competed at the 2026 Kansas Class 5A Girls State Bowling Tournament, and whereas Addison earned the title of 2026 Class 5A Girls Individual State Bowling Champ with an outstanding season best series score of 718 at Bolero North Rock in Wichita, Kansas, and whereas Addison opened the tournament with an impressive 248 game, followed with a remarkable 288. Carrying a streak of 18 consecutive strikes and narrowly missing a perfect 300 game. And whereas despite the pressure of state competition and challenges during her final game, Addison showed resilience and perseverance to secure the state championship title by 13 pins. And whereas Addison's coach is Roxanna Smith, therefore, I, Tim Brunson, with the City Council assembled in regular session on the 26th day of May, 2026, hereby proclaim May 27th, 2026, Addison Crumley State Bowling Day.
Nice.
Congratulations.
If you could donate some of those pins to my bowling game, I might be able to get 71, not 718. That's fantastic.
I was like, maybe in like
Yeah.
7 or 8 months.
Yeah.
And Addison, or did you just graduate or are you going to be a senior?
She's
She's gonna be
freshman.
a sophomore.
You're going to be you're a
Gonna be
freshman. Okay, awesome.
Wow.
Excited to see you next year.
We'll see you next year. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
All right.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
You gentlemen want to sit down or he's? Making
You
me
can
nervous.
stand up if you like.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Consent agenda 9-1 through 9-5.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the consent agenda items 9.1 through 9.5 as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes, sir.
just calling attention to 9.5 around the agreement for monitoring wells. Maybe this is a question for Rick. Do we have any of these monitoring wells currently anywhere in Andover, or is this a net new thing for us?
No, there's quite a few out there. We've not licensed them in the past, nor they just kind of showed up sometimes. And so we're going to start trying to track these and record them and give them a license so that we have ability to know whose it is and where we need to go if there's an issue with them.
Okay, and that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just a monitor in case there's any leakage of petroleum products into the ground. Is that correct?
Generally, you find them for one or two reasons. I don't know which of the two reasons are. It can be for just preventive monitoring, or it could be because there was an event.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question, huh? All right. All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. 10-1 Southern Hills First Edition amended paving petition, developers agreement and resolution as advisability. And Kevin Graham is going to talk to us about that. Couldn't find you.
That's fine, Matt.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The next three items are all related to the last set of infrastructure improvements for Southern Hills First Edition. You can see on your map, generally located Andover Road and Southwest 130th Street. The first item is for the amended petitions, amended developers agreement and resolution of advisability. We opened bids 2 weeks ago on the 13th. The original petitions were accepted in January of 2025. It was split into two projects, one for the on-site paving improvements that you see there in blue, and the second project is the red improvements you see on Southwest 130th. Both of those projects, the bids that came in exceeded the original petitions that were done last January. So this first item is amending those three documents based on the bids we received 2 weeks ago.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Did they get charged the repetition fee?
Similar to previous Southern Hills projects, that new policy was adopted a month ago tomorrow, so May 27th of 25. Since the original petitions were adopted in January before that, as is with the other projects with Southern Hills First, we did not collect that for this project, but I believe this is the last set of petitions that predate that inactive project. So pretty much anything moving forward that exceeds a petition.
You read my mind on the
Yep.
question. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the revised petitions for paving improvements for Southwest 130th Street and Southern Hills First Edition, approve the amended developers agreement, and adopt amending resolution of advisability for the Southern Hills First Edition.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? Just for the public to know, is that not, and me too, is that not just south of Flint Hills National?
That's correct.
All right. All in favor, say yes.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. 10-2, Southern Hills First Edition, amending work ordinance.
Same project. So now that we've accepted the revised petitions, we need to adopt an amended work ordinance that authorizes the construction of these improvements. The only change from the original document is just updating the cost of the project.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt an amending ordinance authorizing construction of the certain improvements for the Southern Hills First Edition.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say yes.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. 10-3.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the lowest qualified bid from Pearson Construction LLC, Wichita, Kansas, in the not to exceed amount of $1,241,691.25, and reject all other bids, and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for paving improvements for Southern Hills First Edition and Southwest 130th Street Edition, or 130th Street.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. 11-1, 2026 Andover Business Improvement Grants. And Julie will speak to us on this tonight.
Mayor and Council, the Andover Business Improvement Grant, or ABIG, as I'm going to call it for the rest of this, was a program established almost a decade ago now, well before my time, that was intended to provide some support with local businesses to help them update the exterior of their business or of their site, make it friendlier, more aesthetically pleasing, things like that. Previously, the program was limited to businesses just along Andover Road. It was actually the Andover Road Business Improvement Grant for some time, but as of 2023, it's been expanded to be citywide. This year, we had 7 total applicants for the program. Our selection committee was this year consisting of council members Gallagher and Henry, as well as Ms. Graham, Mr. Mangus, who would be normally sitting where I am, myself, and then our planning technician, Dylan Carroll, who I don't believe is here. The selection committee went through each of those 7 applications and determined that there were 2 that were above the rest. Those were submitted by Andover Office Center LLC property at 105 South Andover Road, which is what you can see here. And then that from Andover Family Optometry, which is a newer tenant located at 826 East Founders Parkway over in the Heritage. There we go. That's their submission. Andover Office Center is looking for an exterior kind of refresh. They tell us that their building was painted in the year 2000 and has not been touched up since then. And so this project would allow them to do some crack sealing, repainting, things like that on the outside of the building. The optometry office would like to install this monument sign near their multi-tenant space in order to provide signage for themselves and also their two tenants that are currently in there, keeping in with that kind of heritage design language that would be required. The totals for those projects for the Andover Office Center would be $7,247.79, and for Andover Family Optometry, $12,143.36. With this program, the city matches 50% of the estimate that the business brings to us, and then we would help them with half of the project that way. Stand for any questions.
Anyone? Can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the recommendations of the Andover Business Improvement Grant Selection Committee to approve the awards of the following amounts: Andover Office Center LLC, 105 South Andover Road, $7,247.79. Andover Family Optometry, 826 East Founders Parkway, in the amount of $12,143.36.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Jolene, are we going to be workshopping this after budget season's kind of over, July-ish?
Yes.
Okay.
So we talked about soliciting ideas for the future of this program and what might be its next evolution. And so at our next listening session, we may work with you and ask, kind of what some of your ideas are. Then we'll take that, develop some ideas, and bring them back to you later this fall.
That
Thank
was
you.
actually a great question, Homer, because I was gonna say this. I voted yes for I'll vote yes for this, but personally, using taxpayer funded dollars to do something like this for a new business that is opening in a higher end area for us, I just don't see that as a great use of taxpayer funding. But that's just my personal opinion. So I'd like to see us kind of revamp this program a little bit more. I don't feel comfortable, giving a taxpayer money to pay for a new sign, something they probably should have budgeted for anyway. I mean, it's not dilapidated. It's brand new for a brand new business. So, sorry. Mr. Mayor, I apologize.
No.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, I, as well, with Homer here, expressed concern to administration in reference to the fact that this did come out roughly 10 years ago. It had a purpose at that time, which has worked. The items here that we limited down to are what we felt was the best to honor the spirit of what this was made for. Please understand there were more funds we chose not to distribute as well. I would still encourage every council member to vote the way, though, that they believe. If that means you oppose it, please oppose it. I don't believe any city council should just be voting to, flat out just agree to everything just because. So I had to get that said as well.
Anyone else? All in favor, say aye. Yes.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Andover Center feasibility study, and Rick will talk to us about this tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. As part of the Playbook 2030, the recommendation in the Playbook 2030 was to do a feasibility study prior to the implementation of the final phase of 13th Street Sports Park rebuild, which included the ACC Community Center. So RFQs were sent out, and we had multiple respondents. The selection committee consisted of Councilmember Barry, PRAB member Kyle Brannon, Assistant City Administrator Jolene Graham, City Administrator Jennifer McCausland, Daniel Shapar, Parks and Recreation Manager, and myself. Two firms were narrowed down to two firms. Interviews were conducted, and it was selected to LK to go into negotiations for the study. LK, after back and forth, the cost came in at $148,300. It includes, in this project includes deliverables that consist of items such as multiple drawings, renderings of possible layouts, cost estimates, feasibility studies for what, and studies and engagement, civic engagement into what the public wants in this facility and needs, along with, and I believe to be a pretty important part of this, the operational cost of the facility. We need to really understand what's going to cost to operate this facility. We can't just build stuff and not take that into consideration, because there will be some staffing requirements that come along with this. Additionally, a alternate item that we could enter into separately if the council chose to for $18,000 would be a scientific study. The scientific study can include additional city engagement, such as citizen satisfaction survey questions. It is anticipated that this study would be done in 26, by the end of sometime in the end of 26. We have two gentlemen here from LK, if you guys have any questions for them. Otherwise, I would stand for any questions.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Rick, why isn't, and the whole group, whoever, but why isn't the scientific study included in the price tag?
It was just left out as a possible cost savings, so you could not do it. There will be some engagement, but the scientific study part was left out as a possible savings is all. So it's an option for council if they want it. We can do it separately. And we talked about that part of that could come from the admin fund and not the other fund, just because some of it could be citizen engagement as far as general questions, satisfaction of the residents and such.
And we're not going to get that if we don't do that 18,000? Am I understanding that right?
They will do some other engagements and not quite to the same level as the scientific study.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I should have caught this on the agenda last week, but I do think when we were in the room, we were going to talk about recommending the whole price tag and acknowledging that admin would help pay for that. So maybe I would offer that up. I hate to ask anybody to do math on the fly, so maybe we could do the motion without the price tag included. I'm looking at the city attorney to decide that, and if not, we can do the math. But my understanding was it was $4,500 for the survey as included, and it would be $18,000 in place of that $4,500. So we would be adding $13,500 if I can do quick math. So if you would like to do that, there was definitely conversation by the selection committee that we saw strong value, and the reason to break that off and the rationale that admin had a role to play in that price was that we can add questions, which we will come to you and get input on, about general livability in the community that could be of value to you separate and apart from the ACC, but we could use this opportunity to get some other questions answered.
So the quick math, the math on that is $161,800 to include that.
And would the committee then think it is appropriate to do that or not? Yes. Sorry, I had another question and then it escaped me because we did all that math, but
Hate when it happens.
right. Oh, well, what's the timeline on this then?
It'd be by the end of the year.
That it would start or end?
End. We should have deliverables by the end of the year.
And this is similar to the survey, if you were going to draw a parallel, this is similar to the survey that happened before we did 13th Street construction?
Similar, yes.
And then through this feasibility study, this will also tell us what kind of HVAC system to use as far as, that kind of thing on the buildings, or will that be too much into the weeds then?
That'd be more into the design phase of that. We'd get down into that on design phase. This would be more on what is the community need, what are our needs, our wants and desires to go into that, and then the cost of doing these different options along with the operational cost to do these options. Keep in mind, if you have a 7-day-a-week, 14-hour operation, that's different than the ACC is today. And that will have operational costs. And so part of that is, well, where can you recover some of that, to offset some of that through user fees or whatever the case may be. Those things will all be part of what they're doing. And there also is a small portion of, there's a little bit of a governance section that will cover what would a rec commission look like. That'll be a part of that. It's a small part, but it's not going down the full study road. It's more about the governance side of that, what options are there.
And then, sorry, Mr. Mayor, I have a couple more questions.
No, go ahead.
In regards to LK, did they do the architecture for 13th Street Park and the fire station?
They did not do it for 13th Street Sports Park. Nick Stave, who's with our LK, was with PEC at the time, and he was the lead on it over there, and part of Fire Station Park 2. And then the LK has done the lodge and the amphitheater.
That's why the question came up, because I recognized Nick's face. Are we locking in these guys to do the architecture, like all the renderings, or just the study?
This is just for the study. There's no guarantee who will get, the design on it. It'd be another selection process.
That'll still go through an RFP or RFQ. Do you know?
RFQ, it'd be a Q, qualifications on design. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes, sir.
may. So Homer, this is basically, I thought of, the easiest way this is basically determining what the study thinks we need as a city. Because I kind of had to wrap my head around, we're spending, I guess $161,800 now for this. And it's really just a study to decide what we as a city need, and kind of for Don and his team to do the preliminary drawings and kind of site placements and items. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but.
Yeah. And a very big part of that is also the operational cost, because this will have potentially a substantially higher operation cost than the ACC as it is today, because the ACC as it is today doesn't have much of an
They're bringing
operation
in,
cost.
I can't remember which the name of the group.
Sports facility.
Sports facility. That guy was amazing. Seemed to really know what he was talking about, know his stuff. And I was excited to have him talk, and I'm excited to have him come. I'm hoping is he coming here? I'm hoping he's coming here and we can actually meet him and talk to him, and he can, do his magic here. So.
And Key, who's done a couple of projects for us, will be helping with the cost estimates of the potential building layouts and so forth. But yeah, it is kind of a multi-layered. The difference between this one and 13th was very high level at the ACC. They didn't dive into inside this building. You're going to need this many rooms for yoga or whatever the case may be, or a commercial kitchen for cooking classes or any of that kind of stuff. They didn't get into that weeds, and they very high leveled estimated the operating costs for those type of things. We feel like we need a more dialed in one, because it could be have a potential budget impact on us.
And this does have the rec commission part in it, correct, Jenny?
So what we decided to do was and we have representatives here, so I certainly want them to have a chance to answer some of these questions as well. But what Mr. Berry is referring to is I had a kind of last minute, let me throw a curveball to Rick and Daniel. Before you throw out your RFQ, we've had on our strategic plan to look at rec commissions. And so why don't we kill two birds with one stone? It's so easy when I throw that out there. What we got back was it's actually not that easy. It's kind of two different things. In fact, some may have not responded to the RFQ because they didn't feel like qualified to answer some of those questions. There is added cost. There was this pretty significant added cost to dig into that. further, and really wise feedback as the committee kind of wrestled with all of this was, we had heard 8 years ago when we last tried to talk to the school district about this, that they were really not interested in anything that was going to go under the USD property tax line. And in a lot of models, that's where that rec commission would come under, because they had just approved $187 million bond project. And so they wanted to not talk about that at that moment in time. So I did reach out to Brett. He felt like, they haven't talked about it, but I think he's right that the general mood for property tax increases, this is like maybe not the moment to bring something like that. And so we thought we could still do some high level research because Jolene and I were enlightened. We didn't know that you can do a rec commission without the school district, but apparently that is an option. And so I think there's a lot of research that we don't know that we could look into. Obviously, the difference would be in your tax base. If you shrink your district back down, then you're going to shrink your revenues, but there could be advantages to some of the different models. So we just want to learn and kind of looking at it more of like a white paper level than in the weeds analysis. Is that fair? And would the gentleman from LK like to say anything further?
So the ACC we have now is very limited on what we can do with it because of the height of the building.
That's
Right.
correct. Yeah. The height of the building, the type of floor, there's a lot of things that hamstrung the ACC.
So we're going to cure some of those issues.
We
going forward.
better, yes.
All right. That's I'm just making sure we're on the same page because the height of the building matters and what you can do inside of it.
If we don't get those things resolved, then I'll be polishing up my resume. How's that?
Mr.
Yeah.
Rick, and not that I want to take away work from Kevin, but there are some things in here that I did not know if we'd be turning all over to a consulting group or relying on internal staff for. One of which here is the preliminary stormwater compliance and accessibility is all part of that. But is that something that Kevin would normally do? I don't like taking something that we would manage normally and put it in the hands of somebody outside of our organization.
So we've talked about this internally, and when we get into the design phase, it's the design phase for the site plan on this is small enough that we could do that in-house. And we talked about that. On this is something that traditionally we would have the consultant do as part of the other project. Yeah.
Okay, and my second part of that also is the traffic study that I find kind of interesting considering where it's going to be located, and we have a pretty good control and access to that. Is that also something that we typically do in-house, or is that something we would normally do outside?
We always outsource traffic studies because generally it's a specialty in the engineering. It's usually a PTOE, which is a traffic engineer that does this.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Hold on one more second, please. So eventually we're going to have to widen 13th Street somewhere down the road, right?
It could potentially, yeah, it depends. It's probably a little ways out, but yeah.
Right. So when we drop this building down, we probably ought to need to be thinking about a turn lane going into the 13th Street Park because that's going to get busier and busier with that area out there, correct?
We wouldn't locate the building in an area that would probably get in the way of that. We probably only a couple locations that could go in 13th, to be honest with you. There's one that's probably where I believe it'll end up, which is so it can share some of that existing parking lot. And so that would be plenty out of the way. The only other area is the old Kearney area, where the old carnival lot was or whatever, but we would hold it back far enough to accommodate any kind of road widening and such down the future.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
So Jenny, on your point, and Rick and Danielle probably hate me for asking this, but so we're gonna get rec commission or not in this evaluation?
You're going to get a high level white paper that gets into the different options available. So if there's an option, apparently there is, we could learn how to forego the school district's involvement, understanding the sensitivity to an increased property tax and do it on our own. or we could decide that's not worth the extra hassle. You do, we're aware you have to create a new body. You will give up control as a city of the department. You will now have a new entity, kind of like the library board would be a good comparable. So there's research and things to think through. The additional revenue is obviously the upside. Rick keeps talking about the increased operational costs, which there will be. So that could be an answer, but you have to acknowledge and be able to understand what you might be giving up, what the representation on that board looks like.
No, and I guess I'm just, when you mentioned, that's probably why some people didn't apply for the RFQ, because that piece was in there. Would it be smarter to take it out?
I would like to add to that. We did do an addendum to the RFQ that acknowledged that they could only submit for one or the other. They didn't have to do them both. So I don't feel like we probably excluded anyone but everybody did include it.
Okay.
But I probably didn't actually exclude anyone.
Thanks, Rick, for that follow-up. Mr. Mayor?
Hang on one
Oh,
second, Homer.
yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I will say that I was on the committee and all of the applicants or all the, what do we call them, applicants, all the people who sent in, they did a fantastic job. Don and his team just wowed all of us. I mean, LK did an amazing job, and I think I know we picked the best one. There was one that was, like really close second, but these guys, these folks did a fantastic job, Homer. So I think even if we didn't include that, or if we think we needed to, even if Rick didn't include that as a addendum, I think we picked the best firm for us. So
I just don't want another splash pad.
What?
Another splash pad. I just don't want.
Too soon.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, yes, sir.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign the contract with LK Architecture in the amount of $148,300 for the Andover Community Center feasibility study.
Can I get a second?
Is that the correct amount?
Is that the correct amount?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I thought that it was 161,000.
And $800.
800? Sorry.
Are we allowed to do that?
Yes.
Do I need to re-motion that?
No, you know what the number is supposed to be.
Redo it? Sorry, I withdraw that one motion, and I move to authorize the mayor to sign the contract with LK Architecture in the amount of $161,800 for the Andover Community Center feasibility study.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say yes.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. Stormwater rate adjustment. Rick's going to talk to us about that.
Mr. Mayor and Council, before you tonight for your consideration is a resolution that will adjust the stormwater rates. The base rate, which affects both the residential and the multifamily residential and non-residential. The little history here, the initial base rate of $2 was set back in 2000 and, gosh, I'm gonna date myself, 20 years ago. So 2006, I guess. And that rate has not been adjusted. In 2019, the residential side had a multiplier added to it of 10 times. However, it doesn't generate the revenue that's needed. Is 85% and change is residential customers for our stormwater rate. And so over time, costs have went up, but the fees have not went up to match that. And so the fund has been kind of in a depleting statute, so to speak. And to be able to operate it in the 2017 budget, we forecasted a rate increase, and we're here for you tonight for your consideration on this rate increase. It would take the average residential property from $2 to $3 a month in the rate increase. Generally, that's the vast majority of the residentials. Most residential properties are an acre or less. We do have a few that fall into the 1 and 2, and maybe 1 or 2 that fall into the 5 acre. but there's not very many that fall outside of that current $2 rate on the residential side. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
Anyone? Can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution amending the stormwater management fee and setting the rates charged within the city of Andover for stormwater utility management.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say yes.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. General obligation bonds, and Matt was going to talk to us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you, Mr. Mayor?
Good, thank you.
Well, this evening, we have a request for all of you to please authorize the sale of $5,080,000 Series A 2026 bond. It's a bond that will be completely repaid through special assessments. The $5,080,000 is the project cost that'll be reimbursed to the city for paying for the 6 subdivision projects that have been funded and are done.
Any question for Matt?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the sale of $5,080,000 in Series A 2026 general obligation bonds of the city of Andover, Kansas, and authorizing the city of Andover's bond counsel and financial advisor to prepare the necessary notices and documents to conduct such sale.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
And we lost our audience altogether. Wow. All opposed, no. Motion carries 6. There you go. I just
Thank you,
noticed it.
sir.
I think that might be a first in my 6 years. What do you think? I just happened to look up and think, golly, man. All right. 15-1 towing of motor vehicles from private property, and Jenny is going to talk to us about this.
Mr. Mayor and Council, the state legislature made some changes to law, and if my research is correct, it was all the way back in 2020. We were a little busy dealing with other things in 2020. But with that change, it allows police and also code enforcement for a city to tow property off private property. We already utilize the law that allows us to do so when it's on public land in a street, things of that nature. So this is kind of like Jolene brought you tools in a toolbox for economic development last meeting. This gives another tool in the toolbox for your law enforcement, your community development, and code enforcement folks. If there is an abandoned vehicle and maybe it's at a business and the business doesn't really want that abandoned vehicle there any longer, then this would allow us to lawfully move the vehicle to a tow site and sets forth the parameters for which the notification to the owner needs to happen. That is my high level understanding of this. I do have an expert in all things towing and law enforcement here tonight. So if you have questions on practicality, I know Mr. Gallagher did send some questions to Chief Buchanan. So you may have some specific questions that I'm sure he can help answer. And the city attorney also could answer any questions about the law specifically. And if there's something else you think I can answer, I'd be happy to try.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I'm very familiar with code enforcement. As I mentioned before, as a city council member, I do believe the seizure of property of any kind is the most intrusive thing that a government could do. As such, I have talked at length with Chief Buck in reference to their policies and procedures. On the administrative side, for our code enforcement and other purposes, are there policies that govern how we are to do this? Aside from the ordinance itself, it seems very vague as far as it doesn't talk about the notification of or making contact with the initial owners, how the time span we are giving. When people see something like this, they would assume, hey, code enforcement drove down the road, saw a vehicle up on blocks and decided to tow it. There's no real narrative there to kind of say, these are the steps we'd go through. Is there a policy, I should say, that mirrors this ordinance we're putting forth to kind of give as guidelines? I know the police department has one for their purposes, but on our other side.
I do not want to throw Julie under the bus nor Jolene. So if you guys have something to add, feel free to do so. But what I would say is code enforcement and community development has some pretty extensive processes. In fact, I believe the governing body has at times been frustrated by the due process that our code enforcement goes through in terms of notifications. An example would be mowing and the certified letters that have to go out. The ability to come to court and say your piece, and before we can finally go ahead and actually move towards remedy. So I feel confident to say there are processes and procedures well documented and in place for community development and code enforcement, but specifics, I don't want to try to answer and say how many days they would send to be. They've never done this before. We haven't had the legal ability to tow a vehicle from someone's private property previously. So I can't really tell you how long they would send that notice out and things of that nature. I just know historically it's been, if anything, maybe frustratingly long for those on the sidelines instead of too expedient. But if anyone else from staff would like to speak up in Les's absence, feel free.
If you don't mind, I'd like to speak. And sorry, I should have mentioned a little bit more. Back in my previous code enforcement days, there were ordinance that will cover as far as a time frame, as far as cars. I don't remember the dates either, because like for with weeds, you have so many days and notifications. The same thing is for abandoned vehicles as well off the street. I know Mickey, the code enforcement officer, knows there is a time frame, notifications of that. And as far as certified, I don't remember. I know he does send those. I can't remember if it's written in ordinance or policy, but I know he does send those on every single, anything he does, period, on sending with notifications, certified mail, I should say. But I know at one point when I did it, yes, there was a time frame. I just couldn't go in and say, it's abandoned. I had to give them notifications. They had so many days to respond to it. And if they didn't, then at that point I could address it on the legal side. There are also appeal processes they can go through the city government as far as the municipal court and stuff.
So as a citizen with 2 dead vehicles at the corner of my street for many years, flat tires, Mickey has gone, code enforcement has gone above and beyond the Call of Duty to give this guy every opportunity. And I think we should stop. You know, if you've got flat tires on a truck and you start loading crap in that truck, putting beds under that truck, then how long do I have to pay attention to it on a hard corner, much less, you know what I mean? So I can tell you that code enforcement has been working with this guy for months. Finally got him to empty. The trailer has been sitting there for a year full of stuff. Oh, did I mention that we have a place to dump your branches? So as a citizen, I, for one, am sick and tired of you ain't supposed to have 1 dead vehicle, let alone 2, right? So it's just we do have a set standard, and I'm not saying that code enforcement does their jobs and he's trying his hardest, but I mean, how long do you put up with nonsense? You know what I mean? For these trucks couldn't start if you wanted them to.
And Mr. Mayor, this does help a lot with that, the process on the private property of towing the vehicles. So I believe, again, I don't remember the exact dates and ordinance of it, but it'll definitely help the code enforcement officer on that side of it. Hopefully with that process somewhat quicker.
And before there was a truck sitting, it was clearly totaled. This is 3 or 4 years ago during the snow, and they parked it in the Bob and Luigi's parking lot. I don't know. And so we did have it said that we did tell him, hey, you've got this much time to get this thing moved, because clearly it didn't drive in there. So we do have a process in place, but it's just and nobody wants to jerk somebody's truck out of their driveway, but as a citizen, I would be glad to hook onto both those trucks and drag them down the street, because it's ridiculous, man. And there's one across the street from there too. So where do you stop? You know, but We wouldn't allow it in Crescent Lakes. We wouldn't allow it in Teradyne. But in my neighborhood, oh, by the way, we do pay taxes. And we have to look at that nonsense. And I'd like to talk to the city attorney too. There's a house that's been abandoned since Jesus was crucified. And I'm tired of looking at that hunk of crap
After you
too.
were born, man.
Yeah, exactly.
He was there, that's how he knows.
So again, that wouldn't happen in Teradyne. That wouldn't happen in Crestview. But in my neighborhood, it seems to be all right. So,
Well, there are plenty of nuisance abatement processes that the city has, as well as unsafe and unfit structure processes that fit all of those circumstances. So certainly if there's a specific property that's of a concern to you, I'm sure city staff would be happy to look at it because there are processes to handle that.
but I will say code enforcement is doing everything they can for that particular corner. But it's just kind of irritating, you know what I mean, to see for over and over. And he's been working hard to, one of the problem is, and you can maybe explain this to me, the people that are doing this don't own the property. So does that make it more difficult for the owner of the property?
It certainly can.
Okay,
It certainly can. And it makes it more difficult for code enforcement as well.
yeah.
And to your point, Mr. Mayor, you're talking about timelines. That's where I think having policies or procedures that are written that we can refer to will not only make the process clearly black and white versus an ambiguous, we will wait indefinitely to take action. I do believe in our code enforcement officer, of course. I do believe he is doing things the best way for the citizens. But I also believe that any action that we take should be backed by a policy or standard operating procedures when it comes to especially something such as seizing vehicles or seizure of anything. That is just my personal opinion. I would encourage administration to sit down and think about having an SOP for that. And again, leaving the discretion to code enforcement to flex dates or times is great, but a minimum statement in there for both the citizens to be able to see in writing if necessary, or the next code enforcement officer to know as they come into the role would be exceptional, I believe.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if I may, asking a question around, presumably we already have the towing of motor vehicles covered for when they are on public property. Is that correct? That's currently on the books. And am I right in assuming that the steps that city has to go through in order to tow it off of a public property is, requires some steps to fulfill certified mailings and things of that nature? Or like, I guess what I'm getting at is it going to be easier to tow motor vehicles from private property compared to public property? Because I feel like that would probably be backwards. So that's my first question.
So it boils about the same ways. I mean, in certain ways, like right now, a private property owner, and I just showed, we had a call out today from one of our local businesses that had a car that's been parked there for so long. They can tow that vehicle. We do have things in our policies that cover that, as far as we will document the case, we'll notify them. Where the law changed a little bit and makes it easier for us on this, saying for that property owner, it covers them more so than it does the vehicle owner more than it does on our part, is they're allowed to get in that vehicle within 48 hours to get items out of it. The tow company has to notify us within 2 hours of them actually towing that vehicle. So that way someone can't come back and report this vehicle is being stolen. Now all of a sudden we're going to be looking for it, and they're going to get arrested or pulled over again. So there's protections for the owner itself, but at the same time for the property. Today, if your house, you've got a parked car on that, that's your choice if you want to tow it. This just helps us, like say at the park right now. If I've got a car, we're having a concert and they're blocking all the traffic. Right now, the property owner, someone's responsible for it, can come in and tell us, hey, I want that moved. I want it towed. So we can tow it without having someone trying to sue us and get the money back for the tow and all the impound fees and everything else for that matter. It also goes back to the resolution of here's how much these tow companies can charge for those. So it helps on both cases for public property and private property. It kind of clears it up a little bit for both of them on who's responsible for saying it's authorized to tow that vehicle. So the property owner is going to say that in the governing body. So right now at the park, if it's just during the daytime, we don't have a concert, it'd be someone responsible for that property itself. At street department, it'd be someone that's responsible with that, saying, hey, this car is blocking or doing whatever, I need it to tow from my property. So you have to have a responsible person telling us, I just can't go and start towing vehicles. I have to have that person responsibility.
And in the court of public opinion, if you pull a dead vehicle off, just pick a parking lot, private property, that feels a whole lot different than if you drag a dead vehicle off a person's personal driveway. You know what I mean? So this is still America, but it's a fine line. You know what I mean? But I'm by no means was I disparaging our gosh dang it. What's he do? Or yes, I wasn't disparaging. He's trying to use a bit of couth and kindness that the mayor doesn't have. So I'm not by any means disparaging the work he's doing. So
In this time of year, unfortunately, I'll tell you from past experience, weeds get pretty high, and you spend a lot of time sending a lot of letters. It's just he's been working really hard. So this is just going to help. And he takes the same pride, because I actually trained him for the job, wanting our city to be beautiful. And like you, I'd be frustrated if I have all these cars and abandoned and broken down. That's not what we expect. And I know the code enforcement officer feels the same way.
I would like to also offer that in Chapter 18, Article 9 of your code, to directly answer Councilmember Gallagher, there are procedures pretty spelled out in terms of junked vehicles on private property. And just to kind of tie together what both Andrew and Jenny were saying, you know, it's one more tool, whereas currently it's a series of fines, and then to Andrew's point, a resolution that would come to you to be able to remove the vehicle. This instead offers another option to directly tow the vehicle off the property.
all right. Any other questions or comments? I'll get off my soapbox. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 18, Article 7 of the Code of the City of Andover, Kansas by adding Section 18-714 regarding the towing of motor vehicles from private property.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Yes.
All opposed?
No.
No? Okay. Pardon me? One no? Okay. All right. We were moving along so well till I got carried away. 16-1 AARP agreement. And Jolene's going to talk to us about that.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm very pleased to bring to you this agreement in the amount of a grant award in $12,100 from AARP through their Community Challenge Grant Program. It is designed to fund an additional transit route in partnership with Butler County Department of Aging. A few fun, quick stats about this grant. This program by AARP, the Community Challenge Grant, has been awarding to communities for the past 10 years. They've awarded $24.3 million to communities. This year, 5,100 applications were submitted for these awards, and only 750 were awarded. Of those 750 awards, 33% were governments and 67% were awarded to nonprofits. Of those 750 awarded, 40% were awarded to urban city areas, 40% to rural areas, and 20% to suburban areas. This grant is intended to expand transportation access specifically for our senior communities. We'll add an additional route that's available to all of our community, though. It will add a route that goes 3 days a week, runs 9 to 3 p.m. We'll also include for use of the Andover Activity Center for senior activities with the intent to increase participation, for the Andover seniors. And the results of this is to inform future funding of possibly making this a permanent transit route, as well as to inform our ACC feasibility study, which was a previous action item that you had here tonight. I want to thank our City Administrator, Jenny McCausland, who particularly called out this grant opportunity and for connecting it to a very real and expressed need in our community. I also want to say thank you to Margaret Gibbons, the Director of the Andover Senior Center, and Crystal Knowles, Director of Butler County Department of Aging, for their partnership and very enthusiastic support of this grant. They will do quite a bit of the work of doing the work of the grant. As far as financial implications, there is no match required for this grant, and the city attorney has reviewed and approved the agreement. I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
have we received this grant before or anything? Like,
No.
and then how did you find it, Jenny?
I think it was in a newsletter. And I have to say, sometimes I'm not the best reader of those newsletters, but every once in a while you read closely and you see something. So it's nice of Jolene to give me some kudos, but really I just forwarded it to her and said, ooh, I think this works for that extra route that we need. Can you do the hard work now? And if you've been paying attention, I believe this is the third grant that we've been able to share with you that Jolene's had authorship on in the last few months. So a lot of work going. I know there's been a lot of expressed desire by governing body members for us to keep our eyes open for grants, to look for those opportunities where they are available. And so I'm really thrilled that she's able to bring this to you tonight.
And it's not matching. We don't really, I know Jenny, in the past, you said like there's legwork or there's back end stuff. Are we having to do any of the back end stuff, or, okay, not just the county and not just Margaret?
Correct. So the funds will go to subsidize the transit rides, to pay for the driver and the gas and so forth. We as staff will do the coordination of this grant and the reporting responsibilities that are part of the grant. And this grant will run through December 15th. And at that time, we have to be able to report out on data such as who used it, how many people used it, what kind of report out we were able to give to you as part of the feasibility study, and what kind of our action plan is to move forward as a result of this grant. And we'll also do some communications work. So I'll be working with Megan. AARP is going to give us quite a good size media kit to be able to get the word out about this grant. And I'll get to visit with our Andover seniors about using the rides, and if nobody's done the rides before, helping them to get connected and feeling comfortable with getting on the rides and traveling to our activity centers for more events.
And do we already have a method of that, getting those numbers or that analytic, or is that Crystal or?
Yes, so the Butler County Department of Aging would be the one who would collect that data for us. I believe Margaret also would be tracking like participants and activities.
And they don't currently do that now?
I am aware that they do track participants for both ridership and for activities.
Thank you.
And this is for anybody might be listening out there, there's a opportunity for, if you're retired, there's an opportunity for a part-time driving gig to go along with this. So they're going to have some way of transporting these folks. They're going to need a little more help. So whether it's volunteering or what, I'm not sure what they have in mind, but there's opportunity there. If you know somebody that might be interested, reach out to Margaret at the Senior Center. And I thought we agreed in this room that I would get credit for that, but maybe maybe it wasn't, right?
That's the mayor's idea.
Something like that.
Great work, seriously, man.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the grant agreement, the mayor's grant agreement with AARP.
Any further questions or discussion?
Yes, just briefly, Mr. Mayor. As I think it was touched on, but I've seen Butler County Transit in my neighborhood. It helps out seniors definitely. And I'm excited to see some reporting, maybe even before December, on how much ridership increases with this additional route, but it is available to other folks that have, at least I know, developmental disabilities. I think that's a great option here, that this expands that opportunity, because people need to go to work, people need to go to doctor appointments, and transportation's hard. So that's all I've got.
And just to Tim's point, Margaret was actually hauling people to vote last time because they didn't have this, they couldn't get the van. So she's got her little vehicle. She was hauling people, seniors, to go vote. So it also give them a chance to, instead of buying another building, they will be able to use the CC at some point, right? So there's a lot more there than just a truck and a ride. It's a lot of opportunities. So hats off to the city staff for pulling this off. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, golly, I'm gonna learn. 6 years, man, it's hard to break a habit. All opposed, no. Rick, is that funny?
No comment.
It's driving me crazy, man. 17-1-2025 street rehabilitation change order 1.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, the next 3 items are somewhat related, and they're all part of our street rehabilitation or street maintenance program. Our street maintenance program has had a little bit of a setback as we were building new streets and had to get some money to cover those matching funds, and we're getting back into the business of really getting back into street rehabilitation or maintenance. The first one is what I would say is a little bit less than what most people consider what they call mill and fill or mill and overlay. We do have a mill and overlay project currently with Pearson and construction. Certain streets, that's what's required. On certain streets, if they're a little better condition, you could get by with what they call UBAS, or the other term you might hear calls NovaChip. We've not ever done this in Andover. It's been something we've been looking at. Wichita and Sedgwick County do a lot of it. It is a little better suited for your arterial type roadways that are long and straight because of the process. So we reached out to Pearson about possibly change ordering this in. They had just bid on a project in Wichita, and we actually got better pricing on it, including the mobilization charges. I think some of that is because of the way our project is laid out. It's a little more conducive to the work. What they do on this type of work is they edge mill where you're going to be butting up against existing pavement or a curb line. And it's about 5/8 inches thick. And then they put a new lip over the top of it. It's different than an asphalt. It looks very similar to asphalt. It's just it's got more of a super high oil content. I believe it's less subject to reflection cracking because it stays more flexible, because asphalt pavement is a flexible pavement. When it starts to get brittle or surface starts to get oxidized, it will then start to crack more. So I believe this will give us on certain roads another tool in the tool belt to do. And I'd strongly recommend the approval of this change order 1. The next project, I'm going to talk about them all at once because they're somewhat closely related. The crack sealing project will be the first time we've ever contracted out to have a contractor come in and do crack sealing. Crack sealing is a little different than some of the crack repairs that we've talked about. Crack sealing is when you see people out there with that air compressor and they're blowing out the cracks and they come back behind with what a lot of people consider to be hot tar, and they put it in there. It's not really hot tar, but it's a product similar to that. And they put that in there, and that is dollar for dollar the best preventive maintenance you can do on a street. I use it in terms of like your house. You would use a caulking to seal up the joints and stuff in your exposed part of your house. This is as similar as doing that to your house. This same area, with the exception of a few roads, we're proposing to do a street sealing over the top of that. That's like painting. So this is like filling the cracks with the caulking and then painting it. And what we're doing here is we're trying to keep our newer roads good and extend that life before we have to do a more expensive repair down the road. The reason that some of the crack sealing is smaller than the street sealing is because our street department had already gotten out ahead and done some of those streets and got those taken care of. We did get a pretty good price on the crack sealing. Derby is actually using this company. They were going to start mid-June for Derby, and then they would plan to come right over here, and they're going to save us some costs on some mobilization. They are out of town contractor. The people that own this company started are engineers from Coke that developed this particular polymer, and pretty excited about it. They did Derby last year. We kind of watched that and seen how it went, and pretty excited about the possibility of using this material. We may switch to that same material out of our own crack sealing machine when we do our own. They're going to come down and they'll show us how to use it and if there's any tweaks to it. So you got those three projects in a row. This would be the finishing out of pavement maintenance for our 2026 season. So back to the street rehabilitation change order. I stand for any questions if anyone has it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Go ahead. So am I correct in assuming that the change order is going back on what we previously authorized for mill and overlay and doing the UBAS instead?
No, this would be additional work. So
additional work. Thank you.
The change order or the original project for the mill and overlay were streets that had a lot more surface cracking on it. And we wanted to mill that off to get a cleaner surface so they didn't reflect through. So those are like 21st,
13th
Keystone, 13th going out towards, not 13th, Central, east of Central, east of Andover Road is part of the mill and overlay project. 159th over there in front of the school is part of that mill and overlay project. And those are a lot of those streets, or a lot of these streets are ones that you see now that have those stripes across them where we did the crack repairs. Those are the larger cracks that you can't fill. You have to cut it out and repair it.
It also has the signs that say coming soon, spring 2026. So
these pictures, right?
No, not all these areas were those. No, this is we got two different projects. We're adding to the street rehabilitation is adding these streets to those that was already approved and awarded. It's just additional work. We knew we were going to have to do that. We were waiting to see what happened with the Wichita bids.
So since we're combining them, we're actually saving money because they're going to be here anyway. Pearson's going to be here anyway to do.
Yeah, I mean, they may have to remobilize, but they gave us a really good mobilization price because it is a different machine that does it. It looks like a paver. It's similar, but it's a different machine. It's a specialty machine that does this work.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'll go ahead and ask my question, even though it's not the one we're necessarily on, but on the 17.2, then crack sealing project award, that looks like it's in the newer phases of Cornerstone area. So are we happy with the original roads that were put in and the longevity of them?
Sure. Most of those crack sealings and the vast majority was the curb lines. Going through, we're doing the curb lines to seal those up before we do the sealing on there, those street sealing. And what we found with the street sealing is it's a proprietary product there that's called HA5. And we found that if you get to those streets in the 5 to 6 years or newer, you extend the life cycle of that pavement quite a bit. And we know this because we did a section over by Village where we had put it down over a year later after we did a mill and overlay on part of it, but not all of it. And we watched it. And the section that we didn't do that section deteriorated at a faster rate than the section that we did this on, substantially faster. The last one of these is it's kind of like painting your house or sealing a quartz or a granite countertop to add a protective layer to extend its life cycle. Does that answer your questions?
Yes, thanks, Rick.
Mr. Mayor,
Mhm.
I move that we approve change order number one to the contract with Pearson Construction LLC in the amount of $686,811.32 for the urethane bonded asphalt surface on portions of Central Avenue and 13th Street.
Anyone?
Second.
Any further questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor, just to confirm, going back to Tim B2's question, the 686,000 is adding to the 1 million already approved? Okay.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. 17-2 crack seal ceiling project.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I
sir.
move that we authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with, is it Adventurous Pavement Partners for the amount not to exceed $71,888.54 for crack sealing of certain streets in Andover, Kansas.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. 17-3.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I motion we approve the mayor to sign agreement with Andover Construction Company, Park City, Kansas for the amount not to exceed $704,593.50 for high-density mineral bond asphalt surface for select streets in Andover, Kansas.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say one thing.
Yeah.
Rick, you mentioned this, I remember when we talked about getting Central, all the other roads done, you mentioned that this would be coming sometime. I appreciate the hard work that you and the street team has done between the different trials and different ways of doing it and trying to figure out the best way. It's challenging being kind of a city size we are, especially when you want to get the best value. So it's great that you're tagging on. I appreciate you, tagging on to Sedgwick County and Wichita and Derby and all those guys trying to, consolidate and get the best price that you can. So, I appreciate, what you're doing, for the streets. And I know, we are known for our great streets here in Andover. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. Wastewater treatment plant expansion, and Rick will talk to us about this.
So on the wastewater treatment plant, there's two items that we did not include in the bid for the plant improvements. Both those items we excluded out because if we added them into the bid, they're going to add about 15% to the cost because they're going to take whatever the cost we would pay, and then they're going to add their overhead, their bonding, all these other things that go into play on all those things. And profit, obviously, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it for a profit. And there's really no need to do that. And one of them was the FF&E for the furniture. Galaxy Business has done the vast majority of the furniture for Andover, and they use government contracting pricing for their items. We went through, and Brian Walls and his team worked with them pretty exclusively on what was needed and where it was going to go. And we came to this price. This does include, very similar to like the fire station, a area in there, like their training room or meeting room, and would allow them to host and save and down the future on some other trainings. Because if you host, you usually get it for free.
Can
But
we
also-
do birthdays? Can we do birthdays?
You could do birthdays down there, I suppose.
Chocolate cake.
I don't know how many kids would want to have the birthday party down there, but yeah, anyway, so that's included in this along with the kitchen and some offices and a little bit of stuff all the way around there like that. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to stand for that.
Anyone?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Rick, so in say the name, Galaxy. So are these sent out? Is it sent out for bid, or do we just go with them because that's what we have always?
Because they use a lot of their stuff is either Han or I'm dropping the name of the other one.
Equalis.
Yeah, and they on Han, there's a state contract. State of Kansas does a contract to get pricing on it. So if you're buying Han furniture, that's what it's going to be in the state of Kansas if you're a government agency. And then on the other one, they have another purchasing agreement. These meet our procurement policy, and it's just what we've always done. We've worked with them, set them down, and we know we did not bid it necessarily out. But you know, if we were to go bid Han furniture, it's going to be the same price, no matter who you go through.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Rick, I noticed on here, there are a couple of line items that are duplicates, and I didn't know if that is intentional. When you're going through the items, for example, a certain type of chair that's in here, or just a guest chair, I think that's what they listed as. I just lost my page completely now. But the guest chair, for example, is listed in 2 separate pages, the same quantity and everything else. I did not know if they had done that on purpose. Is that designed for this particular office is going to need 2, and then another office is going to need 2, and so on and so forth? I'm sure it doesn't change the price in any way for ordering 4 or 2 and 2, but I just did not know if that was part of how it was supposed to be or not.
I'm somewhat guessing at this point that what it is, there's 2 different offices in there, and they've just done it by office and broke them out that way instead of 2 to be 4. But yeah, there will be need 4 of those in that particular case. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to authorize the purchase of the furnishings for the wastewater treatment plant from Galaxy Business Equipment Incorporated, Winfield, Kansas, for the wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $57,448.58.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion?
Furniture is expensive.
And I can tell you from personal experience, those guys have got leftovers for ever and ever and ever. So for them to have new furniture and stuff, it's a good time. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. Member items, and I'll start with Marla, because she's dominating conversation tonight.
Thank you for sending out the employee survey. Appreciate the information. It was really cool to read through, and I liked the pictures and the bars and the charts and all the things. So, and congratulations again on the AARP. That's super exciting. That was my first workshop when Margaret was there. So we've come full circle with that. And then I met with Rick and Daniel and the team and Kevin, and we went over budget. They're keeping me busy with budgets. So.
I guess next meeting.
Don't throw Matt flowers, man.
No kidding.
Whatever flowers they don't throw to Matt, I'll throw twice as many.
Uh,
It'll be Disney ones. All right. No, it's fine. Real quick, just a couple things. I went over budgets with, Michelle. Names are hard at 8:30 at night. Michelle and Neil, thank you for the court and the IT. Appreciate their work and preparation. Know there's challenges ahead, especially in the IT department. Just things are always changing and getting more expensive. So nothing really to report, but I want to shout out Beth Green for the wonderful work that she and her team all put into Heritage Day, and then also putting on attracting the farmers market too. Andover, it was a big hit, and I wasn't able to go because of other commitments, but I'm going to be there Saturday.
All right. Well, I want to just have a quick reminder of the Citizens Police Academy that is taking applications still, I believe, begins July something
9th.
or other,
9th.
and runs to September something or other.
17th.
Okay, perfect. I knew there was a 17 in there. So I know that, looking back and seeing how big of a hit the ACE class was, I think that this would be something for somebody that actually graduated from the Citizens Police Academy who still does not get to carry a badge, gun, or taser for some unknown reason.
Thank God.
For some unknown reason. But I do think it is a really good learning experience. And I know that It's great to see so many people getting involved in the city with the ACE program and the Citizens Police Academy. So make sure you get out there and get signed up. Also, just wanted to remind everybody, we've been talking all night about these streets, and they are going to be working on the streets. And it really makes me unhappy when I see them working in my neighborhood and people are speeding. So please make sure when you're on the roads that you are watching for those people on the streets that are working, and also look out for our first responders. So thank you guys for all you do.
I just want to say summer is here, so please be careful as you're out driving, as you're out, even, if you're not driving, you're walking. Cammie and I've started walking a lot more lately because this body needs some work. So we're actually starting to walk a lot more, and I see a lot of people texting and almost hit me. I mean, I'm a big dude. I'm not hard to see, and
Husky.
I'm fat, but that's okay. So just stop. I mean, pay more attention, especially on the neighborhood roads. We're walking through Crescent Lakes. We're walking down Shea around Central High School, and I mean, there was 2 or 3 times I'm walking, and I kind of had to push Cammie out of the way and almost take the brunt of it. So just be careful as you're walking.
Tim, you notice it's more of the adults?
It is. It is more of the adults. Now, I mean, there are a few teenagers out there.
Well, we blame the juveniles, and it's like,
it's a lot of the middle-aged women. They're trying to. I'm saying it because I'm the one that almost get hits. They're carrying their Stanley cups and driving and texting at the same time. So
I'm old.
so just be careful out there. There's lots of people out there. And then I think that's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Great. All of that.
Tim, I would like to apologize. I wasn't actually attempting to accidentally miss you. I was actually trying to hit you. So.
No, I know you care about your cars too much. I do too much damage with that Porsche. So
I again would like to thank everybody who with the city I worked with administration so far, and finance, of course, to go over financials for things like that. There is more coming, obviously, for me in the finance world, and I'm learning, and Matt's being a great teacher. I appreciate it all. Again, I do want to encourage any of the citizens who will be critiquing some of what we have done today online to do not hesitate to reach out to either myself or a different council member if you choose to ask why we did certain things or for clarification. Please understand there's a lot more insight or questions that have been asked either beforehand or via emails and so forth. And we typically have more that we've brought on prior to making these decisions. I hope that everybody, now that school is out, is enjoying their summer, and they will continue to have a safe summer, hydrate, and just enjoy themselves. For those of us parents that have kids at home, my prayers are with you. So, but that's all I have.
Thanks, Colin. I just want to thank the city of Andover for sending myself and Les that couldn't be with us tonight to ICSC Commercial Real Estate Convention. It was awesome. I don't want to take too much time, but if you do have any questions, I'll be giving a presentation, or we will be giving a presentation in the July workshop. But city council, mayor, if you guys have any questions before then, please reach out. Budget season. I mean, Chief Russell just laid it out. It was awesome presentation when it came to the fire department budget. So can't wait to help you guys walk through that process.
Did he give you flashcards?
Oh yeah. I mean, full meal deal. So this was, I mean,
And lunch.
Matt, you would have been proud of this presentation that he gave me. It was amazing. And then, Buck, to your guys, the blue, if you will, I mentioned, I saw one of them at Heritage Fest. I was enjoying Heritage Fest and mentioned, hey, you switched the schools out. What are you going to do now that we don't have 20-mile-an-hour speed limits? And he's like, Homer, they were like, Homer, I just flipped over to nights 6 days ago, and I already have taken a gun off the street, like 3 DUI. He went through, like, he had action every night or 6 things that he had done. Man, we just need to, like Tim said, drive safe, just be smart about it. I mean, there should be no reason for DUIs out there, right? We have Uber, do that stuff. And as much as I just appreciate your guys being out there and taking those guys off the street, or even if it's me, even if it ends up being me in the speed zones, make sure we're writing tickets to enforce it, because, if we don't, people are just zipping through there, and it's just patience, right? So I just practice that. And again, be smart. Andover's not that big. Walk home, right? Walk to Tim's house.
So can you give us a few takeaways from your trip to ICSC?
A lot of the takeaways are there's a lot of interest out there outside of maybe the Wichita metro area as far as commercial goes. So, out of towners, if you will, Kansas City, some developers from Topeka, are really interested in what we have to offer, what we have open, if you will, as far as products. Megan and the team, I call it a team, but Les, Jenny, Jolene, myself, Megan, met ahead of time so that we could really get a game plan going. Had a folder that, if someone was interested on the fly, we could open it up and, here's different areas, in town. And it was very insightful. I think, I think it's a full meal deal, and we have to decide, what do we want out of it? I was telling Tim this earlier, what do we want out of it? Because from a marketing standpoint, I think we need to be there every year doing it. And figuring out not just restaurants, not just, hospitality, but, we went from having 2 hotels to 1 hotel, right? So then, we still need to recruit some hospitality and that kind of stuff. And we still have developments like the Heritage that need to be filled up, so to speak. And, what can we do to help that out? And this really opened my eyes, and hopefully it'll open your guys' eyes in the workshop when it comes.
Peopling's hard, isn't it?
Oh, bro. You didn't even give it like justice in regards to how hard it was, not only physically. I think when I told Les when we were coming back, he was talking to someone, we had done 7.5 miles just walking, because in the back of my mind, when I wanted to get a cab, I had, Tim Berry on my shoulder going, how much is that cab ride? And it's like minimum $40 wherever you go for a cab. So I looked over at Les, and Les was like, we're walking. And I'm like, oh. Luckily escalators were working, so it wasn't that bad. But it was draining, if you will. And it wasn't like there was downtime to not smile. You were always, I was always selling Andover. I was always doing something. So it wasn't like, the mayor has always said, comfortable shoes and walking. It's not just this. You have to turn it on the whole day, right? And then I had Jody on my shoulder, like, smile, Homer, that kind of thing, when I was like, oh my gosh. And I might need to rethink, like, the mayor has a nice polo on today. I did not bring any polos. I went with the Carhartt lined vest out to 80-degree Vegas. So, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And when we landed Sunday, if that was anything, it felt like the airplane landed into a pile of sand. They had diverted 400 flights that night because the winds were so bad. So for someone that doesn't really like flying, that wasn't the best entry to the convention, but it was awesome time. Can't wait to tell you guys more about it. You open that can, Mayor, because I told you I was going to keep it short tonight.
Man, I'll tell you what, one thing you do not want to do is follow Les Mangus anywhere. That boy can pick them up and put them down now. It's crazy. Our first day there, the escalators in the whole darn city weren't going up. So we had to walk up every escalator, and Les would just never miss a beat. So, but man, I appreciate y'all going. And I actually took the police academy, and it was eye-opening to me, man. It's really one of the things that really opened my eyes was dispatch, man, because you got the idea they're in there eating pizza and having a good time. Man, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do it, especially during a tornado.
And I appreciate everybody's comments, especially for the officers. They don't hear it a lot. Homer and Mayor and dispatch, they're the hidden jewel behind everything, that they get the first call. So I appreciate that, and they appreciate that. All these nice comments about them. To the DUIs and stuff, you're right. It's horrible. There should be no reason someone to get a DUI. But we will not humiliate any citizens or anyone that is arrested, but we will give you a nice little hotel stay at the Butler County Inn if you do get arrested. So it's one of those that avoid it. There's your warning right now. Don't do it. But we average too many.
Yeah.
And again, thank you. Citizens Police Academy is taught by the officers. So it's not just me getting up there speaking or the captains or whoever we bring in, try to have every officer have a part of that. So the citizens get to know the officers and dispatchers as well to see these are the ones that go out there and do the work every day, not us. They're the ones that make it happen.
Mickey's shoes were big to fill, wasn't they? And I just want to, I know we've said this a lot, but sincerely, man, staff has taken us places, whether it be the RHID or the AARP or ACE or one other acronyms you want to use. It's amazing the forward thinking that's being done, and the citizens of our city don't realize just how much time and treasure you put into keeping us moving forward in different ways and finding other tools in the toolbox. And so it's all across the board, man. It's just phenomenal to me. And all I got to do is show up and look pretty. So I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
That's it. Yeah. Tough job.
I look pretty. So no, seriously, thank y'all. Cause I know it's a daunting task. So even though I thought I was going to get credit for that deal, but
Just because you're the age doesn't mean you get the credit.
I get a free ride on the AARP bus.
ARP and wastewater.
I also found out, and it kind of hurt my feelings, that city administrator was born about 12 days after I graduated high school.
23 years ago you graduated?
Oh, man, yeah. Way to go, Homer. All right. Can I get a motion before this gets out of hand?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Yes.
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 No. Thank y'all.
I mean, sometimes if they give him the look.